Hello everyone, Mr McLeod here. As you can see, I'm back at Napier Central School. I'm back in the office and we're getting the school ready. Hopefully with the announcement next week, we might be coming back to school. So we're just getting things ready. But I thought in the meantime, you might like another story. And this one is called My Teacher Sleeps in School. So it's quite an old book and hopefully won't fall apart. My Teacher Sleeps in School. Goodbye, called Mrs. Marsh. I'll see you all tomorrow. Mrs. Marsh went back into the school and everyone began walking home. I think the teacher sleeps in school, said Molly. I think she stays there all night long. What a dumb idea, said Gary. Teachers don't sleep in school. Mrs. Marsh does, said Molly. She's always there when we come into school, and she's always there when we leave. I think the classroom is her house. Why don't you ask her, dared Gary. I did, said Molly. And she just laughed and laughed, but she didn't say yes or no. But where would she sleep, said Gary. Where would she eat? Let's look around the room for clues tomorrow, said Molly. Maybe we'll find out. Oh, there's some teachers walking past right now. The next day, Gary could hardly do his work. He kept watching Mrs. Marsh and wondering, what if it's really true, he whispered to Molly. What if she really lives here? Pretty soon Lisa and Jason were wondering too. Where does she keep her clothes? Asked Jason. In the closet, of course, said Lisa, behind the paste and the paper. Here's the picture. I hope you can see that all right. There they are in class with Mrs. Marsh. At playtime, when Mrs. Marsh wasn't looking, they opened the closet door. Look, whispered Lisa, a towel and soap and a mirror, squealed Gary. I'll bet she gets dressed in this closet, said Molly. And undressed too, giggled Lisa. I'll bet she wears funny pyjamas, said Gary. And gloppy cream on her face, said Jason. They pictured Mrs. Marsh in her pyjamas and couldn't stop laughing. Oops, hope you can see those photos, pictures. Next they tiptoed over to the play kitchen. I saw her hide 2 bags here this morning, said Molly. More proof, said Gary in a loud whisper. It's paper plates and napkins and lots of forks and spoons. She must be having company. Plates and I see cake mix and eggs in this bag, whispered Lisa. She must be baking a real cake. I think she cooks her supper here every night, said Molly. That oven is only make-believe, said Jason. She can make it work, Molly said. Teachers can do anything. There we go. Then they thought about where Mrs. Marsh ate her supper and did her laundry and brushed her teeth before she went to bed. But where did she sleep? That was still a mystery. Maybe she sleeps on the bookshelf, suggested Gary. Or on the piano, said Molly. They looked and looked, but they couldn't find any clues. They're a little bit uncomfortable on the piano. Then after lunch, everyone was getting ready for an art project. When Mrs. Marsh was in the closet getting paper, Gary snooped around behind her desk. What's Gary up to? What's he going to find? "There's something under here," he whispered. "Come and see." "A pair of slippers," said Molly, "and a pillow. She must sleep under her desk. We never thought of that." "I told you so," said Gary. "She really does sleep in school." "Poor Mrs. Marsh," sighed Lisa. "I bet it's lonely here at night." "And creepy," said Jason. And there they are under the teacher's desk. Maybe that's where teachers sleep. Then Molly had an idea. "Let's leave her a good night snack," she said. "And a nice note," said Jason. "And something cuddly to sleep with," said Lisa. Gary had part of a sandwich left over from lunch. Jason had saved 6 potato chips for later. Lisa got the teddy bear out of her cubby, and Molly was in charge of the note. Here they are, getting things ready to leave for their teacher. "Surprise," she wrote. "We know you sleep here. Good night. Sleep tight." And there's the note being written. Gary promised to keep everything a secret, but soon the whole class knew. Everyone started giggling and whispering. Mrs. Marsh looked puzzled. "What is going on here today?" she asked, but nobody answered. By 3 o'clock, Molly had wrapped up the goodnight package. Then Gary sneaked it under Mrs. Marsh's desk. The next day, everyone got to school early. They could hardly wait to hear what Mrs. Marsh would say. But all she said was, "We're going on a mystery trip today." And she wouldn't tell them where, not even a hint. I wonder where they're going. Everyone got onto the school bus. They rode and rode, and at last they stopped at a white house with a blue door. There they are on the bus, and here they are pulling up at a house. I wonder who lives there. "This is where I lived," announced Mrs. Marsh. Gary looked at Molly, Molly looked at Lisa, and Lisa looked at Jason. Then they followed Mrs. Marsh inside. Mrs. Marsh showed them where she cooked her supper, and where she did her laundry, where she brushed her teeth, and before she went to bed. There they are inside Mrs. Marsh's house. "And this," said Mrs. Marsh, "is where I sleep." "Every night?" asked Molly. "Every night," said Mrs. Marsh. Then she showed them her children's room. "You even have children?" asked Lisa. "Yes," said Mrs. Marsh. "They're in school all day, just like you. When my husband and I get home from work, we're all together." "Just like us," said Molly. "Now follow me," said Mrs. Marsh. "I've saved the best for last." I wonder what's going to happen next. She led the class into the dining room. There were the paper plates and napkins from the shopping bag at school. "I've been planning this special treat for the class," said Mrs. Marsh. "Oh," said Molly, "we thought—" "I know what you thought," Mrs. Marsh said, laughing. Then Mrs. Marsh brought out a big cake, and just like Molly's note, it said, "Surprise! I baked this last night," said Mrs. Marsh. "I baked it in my own oven, in my own kitchen, and after that I went to sleep in my own real bed." Wow, that's an impressive cake. Gary gave Molly a poke. "I knew it all the time," he bragged. "Teachers never sleep in school." Molly didn't even answer him. Mrs. Marsh was smiling at her in a special way. "Molly," she said, "would you help me cut the cake?" Mrs. Marsh served everyone a piece with a heart on it. Looks delicious. And she saved the biggest heart for Molly. And there we go. My teacher sleeps in school. Do you think your teacher sleeps in school? I know they work very hard and they're here lots and lots of time. You'll have to ask them. I hope you're all well and working hard and helping out at home and being kind to mum and dad and having a bit of fun during lockdown. And like I said before, we're getting the school ready for opening and looking forward to seeing everyone back at some stage. We just have to wait for the Prime Minister to make her decision of when schools open for good. Okay, right, bye for now. See you later.